People are probably wondering what it is that I do. So I am an empath. The kind of empath that I am as a clairsentient, I'm able to read the ambient electrical energy in a person's field. Almost like Reiki or Reconnective or Mahakari. If you're familiar with these modalities, you are now because you're going to go research them later. So what I do is I read energy, and I use the tarot cards based on the ancient Kabbalistic system of thought. Now, the tree of life, called the Etz Chaim, is basically, it is a Jewish mystic practice, but it isn't originally Jewish. The tree of life comes from Babylon, Mesopotamia, Assyria. It was used for initiates or acolytes to understand the patterns of life. It goes from the path of the fool, the beginning of spirit, to the end, to the world card, when you die and you resurrect again. The path itself contains 32 walkways. The first 10 spheres themselves represent emanations of God. Here you can get a zoom on it right here. So it goes from, in the old Hebrew language, Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malkut. Behind I have the flower of life, because the flower of life is basically what a Sephira's emanation is. It's a never-ending flower which expands infinitely. So, anyways, so the pathways represent these stems that connect one Sephirah to another, these lines here. And so ancient schools developed this system to get you in touch with God, higher self, i.e. higher power. And a person can only get in touch with their God state when they're calm. You can download God. So what I do is I read this tree. And this tree, like I said, is found in all cultures. Maya, Inca, Aztec, Miztec, Zapotec, Olmec. They all had a tree. Not just the Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Assyrians, and the Jews later on, or the Hebrews. Everyone had a tree. The tree of life represents the higher mind, the superconscious mind, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. Okay, so that's why there are 4 worlds. Atzilut, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. The 4 worlds, that's why there are 4 suits. Fire, wands, swords, air, water, emotions, pentacles. And finally pentacles, which is the physical body. It represents the 4 worlds. That we got out the way. So as an empath, as a clairsentient, I read this tree with an advanced system of numerology because, as you know, since there are 32 paths, the 33rd path transcends. It's the path of Da'at, which is wisdom, the wisdom of the supernals. Da'at is the same as Ma'at, what the Egyptians personified as supreme wisdom. In the great book of Genesis, it talks about how the serpent taught mankind knowledge. And because of what the serpent did, God cast the serpent out, cast mankind out, and allowed them to see their own nudity, their own failures. It allowed them to see good and evil. Now, why would God not want humanity to know what good and evil is? That is showing you that the information in a lot of these texts are limiting. Adam and Eve were not the first. And God was not a male. Because it says in the book of Genesis, it says, "Let us make man in our image." So that's God talking to the feminine aspect of itself. God cannot be a male and understand female emotions. That doesn't make sense. So these initiatory groups, these ancient societies, knew this. And so they were able to pass down the information from generation to generation. But remember, they had to keep it on the locks. They had to keep it hush. They couldn't tell anybody these secrets because they would have been killed, because the majority of people were living in that ignorance, that fear, that, oh no, God is a male, and let's repress the feminine aspect. This is changing because ancient people knew that femininity and masculinity were both necessary to ascension. Okay, so what I do here, the breastplate stones for the high priest of Israel. Here you have it, called the Hoshen. He is a high priest. 12 stones, as you know. 12 tribes of Israel. We have that 12 number. We have Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do, then A, E, I, O, U. 7 plus 5 is 12, so you have the original sounds right there. The original color spectrums in the sounds. So here you have it. Sorry, I prescribed stones based on that. Here's a numeric formula developed by Paul Foster Case and a lot of my own research, which I've created myself. It can show you what you're going through. So after I calculated the 22 major arcana cards, I was able to develop a frequency based on hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon, showing you all of the suits continuing the order after 22, from the Fool to the World. I continued onwards from fire to earth. That gave me another numeric calculation which allowed me to see what was going on in a person's life. Here's the tree itself, which I also tap into when I use numerology and astrology. And finally, I have the wheel created by the Golden Dawn, which taps into the outer personality of a person based on the time that they're born. So this is the outer personality chart, and my chart taps into the inner personality, the real soul, the vital essence of a person. Now, the decons of astrology are broken down from, the 72 names of God, called the Shaham-Faraj. And so I was able to decipher this, showing you that there is one angel for the morning and one for the night. And so with this newfound information, I was able to develop a technique which could correlate what a person, or rather, what angel ruled over a particular decon, and that would reveal to you who your angel was. Your angel of the night and the angel of the day, because 72 divided by 2 gives you 36, and decons last every 10 days. So in 10-day periods, right, you have an angel of the morning and an angel of the night. So there you have it. Voila. So that's what I do, and of course I read the tarot cards. Whatever you get here, whatever you get, these are all of the tarot cards. That's what I do. Pretty cool, huh? So it's a mixture of alchemy, numerology, astrology, angelology, yes, that's a real word, and of course my own clairsentient abilities. I apply all of these when I'm giving a reading. The usage of stones, of course, correspond to the 10 worlds and the 12 color spectrums, because stones are planetary energies that we need for our own ascension purposes. Your 10 fingers, right, represent one Sephirah on the tree of life. Isn't that cool? Which are also planets. That's why people wear gemstones on different fingers, because it corresponds to those planetary energies. So please come get a reading. I hope to enchant you, and you will grace me with your presence. Blessings, light, love, and namaste. Or like the Maya would say, Lakesh.